Okay, let me see if she's in the building.
Make sure that what I'm looking at is what I think I'm
Those weren't cypresses, those were, one was an oak.
Where?
It says on top of the bid, proposal for removal of dead trees, 2 orchid or trees and 1 oak tree. So that'd be 3 trees at $125 a cut.
Yeah, it's cut and removal.
My gosh, can we get some neighbors involved in these? I know a lot of people want to cut their oaks in front of their house for $125. We could probably get 10 more households.
Well, the thing is
Hey,
the
let me tell
removal,
you
that's the
something.
pain.
We had ours removed years ago,
Mhm.
and a lady up the street from me had an irrigation problem, still from the oak tree. And there was a leak on her property, and she had to pay because of that roots in that tree.
Mhm.
So consider that.
Yeah, well, the fact is that it technically was on her property, that tree.
Well, beside the point, I'm just saying
Yeah,
the roots.
okay.
I'm sorry, she just left, she had to go to Magnolia Lakes and check some aerator.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I got the answer here, and I think we're gonna handle the vote.
If you have a question, just
I don't think
email
we
it
do.
and
I
I
don't
can
think we do. I think
pass
we're
it
good.
on, okay?
That's not a problem there.
Okay, you're all set?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Got my pen?
So, yeah.
Thanks.
Did you give her the card?
Yeah.
Did they do it?
Is she leaving? Is that are we doing this already?
Yeah,
I believe
yeah,
so.
she's not supposed to be here anymore.
Okay, and it is on?
It is on.
All right, it's
Don't
3:00.
get up, Jeff.
We'll start the meeting of the Stoneybrook Gateway Advisory Committee. Today's date is April 12th. It is 3:05 p.m. Not a whole lot to go over today. In attendance, just to verify we have a quorum, is Janice Lancaster, Virginia Stacy, myself, Joe McCulca, and J.T. Thomas. So it's a good thing you were here today, because we needed you. Otherwise, we would have had a quorum. Approval of the minutes, if you get a chance, let's take a quick look at this. I know that we did receive it in the email, and sometimes you might have seen something, but you gotta glance over it to bring it back. Anyone have any comments?
Move to approve.
We're still working on the street signs and poles in Stoneybrook, so I don't have anything concerning that. Let's see. All right, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have Janice, Virginia Stacy making the motion to approve the minutes, and Janice Lancaster seconding the minutes. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I wasn't here, so I'm gonna see.
All right, we got a 3-0 with 1 abstention for not being here. The minutes are approved. Let's see what's next. Stoneybrook irrigation repairs mainscape. We don't have anybody here to ask questions on that one, and I was hoping that we'd have some information, but let's see if there's something in here. I will say, we were hoping to get another estimate for modifying and repairing the irrigation along Pebblebrook. This has been something that we did receive an estimate, it wasn't what we wanted, and we went back and the estimate was ridiculous, so we narrowed it down to let's see what it would cost just on one side of the road. We still don't have it, so there's really nothing to talk about, because I don't have anything here. This is for the area that is along Pebblebrook that is taken care of by the 004 fund and belongs to Gateway Services. So we'll kick that can down the road. There's really nothing to talk about on that right now.
Well, what side of the street are you saying
We're
to
thinking
correct?
about
God bless you.
Thank you.
where the concrete straight walk is.
Oh, that's that.
Because the nature of the way that water flows over it and runs back down, we were trying to come up with a method to reduce the amount of water and get the water more directly on the areas where we wanted to need it. And they were out there today looking at the irrigation, if you saw them, and trying to make some modifications, because something's still not quite right. It's, some areas aren't getting enough, some are getting too much, and I know even the berm behind my house, which is not a gateway berm, but the water behind you is not bad. Gets down to my area. In fact, my next door neighbor is in with the berm down by you. It gets down to me and it's like dribbling out all of a sudden.
Really?
It's like we're running when something else is running, I think. So that something else is kicking on somewhere else and taking some of the water. Speculation, but I think that's what's going on. That's what
It
Scott
might be
told me.
the easement between my house and the next house.
Actually, what he thinks is going on, this is Scott, our camp, he thinks they may be kicking on the other side of the berm at the same time. Because we also watered the other side of the berm. And that might be too much. We probably need to be separate from that other side. But we'll see how that goes. But that's a work in progress, so we'll see. Right now, things are getting watered. We're coming to a rainy season. It isn't as critical when it's rainy, so.
It is dry out there.
Oh, it is terrible. It's terrible. I was driving around today, and as you just look at areas, even along Colonial, along Daniels.
Daniel, that canal ditch that they have,
Oh,
dried.
There's no irrigation. There's everything brown, just brown. You know that grass is gonna die and the weeds are gonna replace it. They needed to put some irrigation in there. But in any case, it's been very, very dry. So, we got nothing happening on the street signs because we don't have the quotes yet. And there's something like this, we usually try to get 3 and we haven't. That's something that I know our office, because of all the disruption, kinda got kicked to the back burner, and I think Scott's picking up on that, we'll see.
Joe,
Yes,
Kathy had something to say.
go ahead.
In your minutes,
Yeah.
that came to the board, it said that you left before I could ask you this question. But you said you were going to Paul. Paul said he had a company.
Yes.
And did Paul go to that company?
Well, we had one previously,
Mhm.
okay? And then another company that was suggested by
Tracy,
we were trying to get them to come in, and I don't know that we have a bid. But then, as you know, and George is kind of holding Scott's feet to the fire on this, George, correctly so, says we really should get 3 bids. Even though it's hard to find 3 people that do this kind of stuff, but even if we get one, just, it might be ridiculous just to have 3 bids. And that's probably where we are right now. So I'm hoping then you will have them for the board meeting, and then at the next meeting here, we'll bring it, if I do, and the board says, yeah, that's a go, I can bring it back here to approve it, to try to get it to go through the 004 fund.
Is there a place online that you can actually just order some of these signs? Like, this is the sign I want, like a company that sells this stuff, and all we gotta do is just sub out someone to come in and dig the
And
hole and
put 'em in.
install
I don't know.
'Cause
But
that
here-
might be a cheaper
here's
route.
the thing also, if they do installations and they do this kind of work, some of the poles just may need to be repaired, painted, sandblasted and painted or
Yeah,
something.
but there's people out there that have replaced some of their mailbox poles, and they're not the exact same as the other
I
ones.
know.
And I don't wanna have half the community brand new, one design, the other half painted, looking good, an old design, it's, huh?
All the new signs purple.
I do wanna say, I like the gateway services black,
They paid good money for those, it really was.
but I like the
not
color
cheap.
black.
So you're talking about converting ours to black and green?
It's a lot easier to paint black.
Well,
than
I
it is
know
green
that
sometimes.
the request that was sent out was requesting an assessment of the poles and how many absolutely need to be replaced and how many need to be, maybe can be repaired. Now, can they supply the exact same poles? We'll see, we gotta find out. That's
Who's
what I
gonna
need to
check
find out.
This pole don't look like, that one's got a,
Well, you want a mishmash. I do understand what he wants. We're trying to upgrade it. We've been living with these ugly poles. And part of the problem has been in the past, we did sort of smack mainscapes around a little bit. They did some minor repairs a couple of years ago, if you recall. But, I think all those speed signs are broken.
Yeah.
They're hanging, and the poles on the street corners are probably, 50, half a half really are shot, half maybe are repairable. And we need somebody to come out and take a serious look at it and give us a cost, because I don't know if we're ready to replace them all for $37,000 right now. And if we do that, we need to have a commitment from Mainscapes that they will repair these things when their guys hit them and break them. They've gotta be more careful, they've gotta be responsible for this.
Well, they should pay to repair them then.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, our meeting is on Monday night, I'm hoping that they'll have, something at that meeting. And on the way home, I'll swing by there just to see if there's anything going on. Just for everyone's information, we did negotiate a new contract, gave some raises to the people that work for our alert. And as you should know, the entry gate that we maintain gets paid through the budget that we do here. And the fact is that, it still should fall within the budget. We gave it enough room that it shouldn't be a problem, but, in the near term. But we will be, and I believe it should, that's one thing I forgot to ask Diane while she was here, was that I believe we gotta start working on, if not do it, at the next meeting in May, is the budget for next year. They'll be looking for that. So, that's something to thought. And I don't have in my possession yet a, copy of the actuals for last year or how we're doing for the first quarter. So I do have actuals, but I don't have the first quarter. The actuals, we run a fiscal year, I think, from October 1st. So we probably should be able to get 6 months through the end of March. I don't have that yet, but we need that for the next meeting so that we can realistically look at where we're going, how the budget is, the money's being spent, what's going up in costs in order to be able to present that for next fiscal year. I don't know if Diane is listening to this right now, but that's something we do need to have. I will follow up with her on that on the email, that we will need if we're gonna do the budget next May, in the month of May at the next meeting, and I'm not even sure when that's supposed to be.
May
10th.
10th.
Is it here?
Yeah, May 10th.
Okay. We'll need to have actuals through the end of March. Yeah, let me see, I need that on the agenda. Also, there was an addendum that you don't know about to the contract, and that was to straighten out an issue that was brought up when we signed the contract between Gateway and Alert to maintain and manage the gatehouse. And we did that, as you know, to save sales tax. And, but there was this one little quirky thing Gary wanted and requested, and they approved, to have annual background checks, which really was nonsensical, for a couple of reasons. One is that if you're doing a background check and someone's been arrested, you cannot use an arrest to terminate somebody, because that's not proof of guilt. You're innocent until proven guilty. You can't do that. And if he's a licensed security guard or whatever.
Don't they,
Yeah.
through their company, have background checks?
I'll go back to that in a minute. But once there is, in fact, the background check that Alert does is even more in depth than the level 2 that Gary was requesting. When they hire the people, they give them the FBI background check. And we're one of like about 6 states that got the approval to do that, because Florida has so many communities with so many security companies that it was a major issue, and we do have the approval to tap into the FBI records and background checks, and they probably do fingerprints and everything. And it's much more extensive than even level 2, which is the national check. And in effect, these guys are pretty clean when they get hired. if they do something while they're licensed and working for a security firm in Florida and get arrested, the security company they work for
That's-
gets a notice. Now, they can't take action on that, but they're aware of it. But if they get prosecuted and
That's
convicted,
different, yeah.
then they can be terminated. But the company is notified. It's not like something we have to do a background check to find that out. And so they came to their senses, because what happened is that Pelican Preserve's contract was up, and this was an issue for them, and they were told it was gonna cost them a lot of money to do these extra background
It
checks.
does.
And
For every employee.
yeah, so they, every year, every employee, so they came in and had a squawk, and I actually got up for it and had a couple minutes and supported their position, because I know we shouldn't have to do it either. So they did, they made the change, they agreed to make a change, so their contract is not gonna have anything about it, but we're gonna have to go back and amend ours, and that's what that amendment is about, if you've seen it, I'm not sure. In any case, that's in the office somewhere, we'll get that signed and get that through and correct that problem. Because their contract did come up April 1st. It's an annual renewal on April 1st, so we're a little behind the curve in making that change.
Do you wanna go over this proposal for L?
Yeah, we'll bring that up, might as well get it out of the way, I'm just about done anyway. In the package, you'll see, pretty straightforward and simple.
Yeah.
To remove 2 Hong Kong orchid trees and 1 small oak that appears to be declining. I guess it's on Pebblebrook.
Well, 2 small orchards, one's on Pebblebrook on the berm just past the guardhouse.
Mm-hmm.
They're both on Pebblebrook.
Yeah.
A small oak is on the backside of the berm between the guardhouse and
It's
Bluestone.
in here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if anybody is ready, it's pretty straightforward, $375. We've got money in the budget for landscaping and maintenance like this sort of thing. And this is on apparently Gateway-owned property, I assume. Otherwise, Elle would be bringing it up. So if, I'll take a motion to approve this as submitted.
I'll make a motion to approve the 3 cuttings for
Okay.
$375.
I'll second.
You
Is
got it,
anything
Nancy?
gonna be replaced in there?
She said it doesn't add any value.
Yeah, I think there was enough there, the trees that are around it are probably big enough to compensate.
Okay.
So we have, the motion is made by JT and a second by Virginia. And any more discussion on that? We'll have a vote. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we approve that L has those trees removed. Just for information, I do want to let you know also the, what we had passed for doing the upgrades, improvements, and plantings along Pebblebrook was all put together, as I understand. It was like $12,000–13,000.
It was over 13.
19 for everything?
It was 19.
Must have been several packages there.
It was a whole bunch. Wow.
I think one of the invoices was just 13 alone, right? Wasn't one
I don't-
invoice?
I just remember the total was 19.
In any
And it
case,
was,
yeah, there was no objection and they approved it. And that is a big whack for that budget right now, so that budget's almost depleted, but it is what it is. We have some surplus in other places there, so if they need to spend more money, we'll do it. We may have to kick up that landscaping for next year, because it still needs some work to be done along Pebblebrook as time goes on to upgrade that. Did you participate in that walk with Margaret and Elle?
no, because we couldn't be together.
Okay.
2 you guys can't be together?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but yeah.
Because we voted,
What, 2's a quorum, right? Or 2?
no, because of.
The sunshine.
It's
Actually,
Sunshine
Sunlaw
law.
is even tougher, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
even
we
tougher.
can't, in case, because we vote on it, we couldn't talk about it, so.
Okay.
And I believe, Margaret went on that walk with Elle because I was gonna be up
Yeah.
with my father's funeral.
There
and
was
that's why.
a third person though, I thought. I'm not sure who it was, and they reviewed that. But it's irrelevant now. I know we approved it, Board of Supervisors approved it, done deal, it's gonna be done. Probably not too far in the distance. Elle wanted to wait to the rainy season gets closer, which I agree. I'm basically done. Anybody have anything?
I have something, but I don't want it in the minutes.
All right, well, we could talk about it after we end the meeting, if that's okay with you. Are we good out there? The audience is,
We're all
Are they doing the, are they already doing the lake, project right now?
Yes, they are. If you go down Gateway Green.
It's on the left, right?
You can see, well, if you're coming this way.
It's on the right.
It's on the right. You can see Gateway Green's that one. They're working on it.
They're already working on it.
They are working on it.
I wanna say, I'm glad you brought that up. I had somebody tell me, oh, I think it might have been George, saying, oh, they spent $5 million on the first 5 lakes they did?
They spent 4.4 million.
Wow.
Were all those lakes in one community?
No, no. 2 of them are in Gateway Greens, one is in Cypress K, I believe, and I forgot what the other 2 are. They are not all in the same community.
Frankly, is that
You
shocking?
have to look at my papers because I.
Yeah, I understand, because that, I'll be honest, that's a lot of money.
That's a
Now,
lot.
we're talking about a lot of lakes that are gonna need repair.
Yes.
Are we doing too much? What's that?
No,
But
Okay. I'm just shocked by that, because I don't know where we're coming up with all this money. And I know
That's
that
the
they were
problem,
talking
they
about
were
going to
going out.
debt, and I know, and
Alone.
and we're talking about tremendous amount of money for, I know Gateway owns the lakes. Some of these lakes have been around for a long time, far longer than many of us have lived in this community, and now we're gonna pay for these lakes. And I understand that at least 2 supervisors live on lakes. Maybe 3, I'm not sure. But the fact is that we're all paying for this, and really.
Well,
if
I
you
live on a
think-
lake, so don't look at me.
Yeah, well, you're not really on the lake, you're on that little flowway.
Oh,
there.
no, I'm on a lake.
Are you?
Oh, yeah, you should see how much property is, go back there, you'd be amazed how much property is dragged out into that lake.
Okay.
In fact, if they ever, I know my lake is part of that process. I hope they don't butt it up to where my grass is. I hope they actually build that part out, because Mother Nature will always create what it's already created.
Actually, flow isn't really the issue there, it's more about a liquefaction problem, and when it gets soft and mucky and then it rains again, it just washes it out. What they're doing, I understand, will solve that problem, but the cost is mind-boggling. Were those unusually large lakes, like the most expensive of the lakes?
those were the worst lakes in the community.
But they had to be big ones too, a lot of frontage or
Yeah,
something.
they're not small.
Okay.
They're that big. Let's see.
They're working on this right here, right?
I tell you, let's put that after the meeting,
Alright.
because you can't hear, see, or anything. But in any case, I just wanna make everybody aware that essentially, we're all paying a lot of money, and only a small portion of the population,
It's
I know.
benefiting.
JT included,
It's gonna
actually benefit from it directly. And, just wanna say, think about that.
It is a problem, though.
So.
I wish they actually built that weir up higher to retain some of the water that's being held back in our lakes. So because a lot of water runs out.
Actually, the level of the weir isn't even a problem. The problem is the water never goes over the weir.
Yes, it does.
Some years it doesn't go over it at all. Some years when we have a rainy season for 2-3 weeks, we may have it go over. Otherwise, it doesn't. Go back there and look at it.
But then it does go over, so it lowers it to where it doesn't really need to be, and then we lose more water when.
Actually, the concern was, and
It's
Mark
like
and
Lake
I have.
Okeechobee. They'll drain Lake Okeechobee, and next thing you know, they're complaining that Lake Okeechobee is dry. Well,
I know.
you got rid of so much water in the beginning.
I know.
You would've kept
Or
it
you
there.
should have and dig it deeper.
Not to mention they screw up our
But the problem
rivers.
here is that if they let that water in the lake get too high, it actually begins to erode higher up on the bank. And you really don't want to do that. Hopefully,
I can see that, yeah.
and that's where you begin to lose land.
Yeah.
Because there are people who claim they've lost 10, 11, 12 feet
Wow.
Behind their house. There is supposed to be a perimeter around that lake that is for access for the gateway services to be able to service the property. And you're responsible to take care of it. It really isn't your property. But right now, It is your property, because in some of these lakes, it has eroded that much. And it's just the material that it's made of. It's a loose sand, clay combination.
It's whatever they dug out.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, the
some-
lakes are all artificial. I saw them, I was here before lakes were here, and they just dug big holes and then used that to raise the ground
Raise the
elsewhere.
ground.
That's what Cape Coral was built on.
Yeah, exactly, to make those canals. In any case, but this is a lot of money. I was shocked when I heard that number, and, geez, I hope we're doing the best use and cost, in doing this. I really do, and that it's a long-term fix. And maybe we do need to go into debt to let people in the future pay for it, because, you never know how long you're gonna be here. But I certainly hope, and I think there is a meeting coming up, and correct me if I'm wrong, about the possibility of a special assessment. Did you hear that? Were you aware of that?
Yeah, I heard that. When is the meeting?
Well, we haven't voted on it yet, I just got this paper.
But there is a meeting coming up, I believe it
Yeah,
has
we're gonna
dates.
vote on it next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
But at this point, I mean, it was supposed to be in May, but now it's on to June.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
No, we do adjourn. so we can talk.
I just bring this up because we need to let our community and
Oh,
some
yes.
of our associates, neighbors and whatnot, be aware that this is going on and that, I'm not crazy about the idea of
Well,
a
it's
special assessment.
probably nothing that we could do anyway.
You'd be surprised.
Oh,
You'd be
really?
surprised.
Oh, we did stop the, whatever it was gonna be built, at tennis complex.
That was a long
Yeah.
time ago, but something like this, it's worthwhile when a crowd shows up, and it definitely, because otherwise there's apathy out there, or they'll just take the easiest path, least effort. And, maybe that's not the best way to go. Anybody else have anything?
Just, I think what Tony's gonna talk about at the next meeting, the 26th meeting for the parking.
The parking, yeah, that's coming up on, what date is that meeting?
20th,
Something like that.
the 20th, I believe it's.
Is that the same
I
meeting
can
you're
look
gonna
up
be
quick.
bringing
April
up?
20th, yeah.
Oh, boy, that's
That's
gonna be
gonna
a,
be very
that's gonna be a
busy.
crowded meeting.
Mhm.
All right, so that's another issue, the parking issue will be, supposedly Tony's gonna, give us the ruling or his opinion anyway on, the whole
If he's-
subject.
He's finished it because of other things.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else going on, I'll take a,
Motion.
motion to adjourn. You're making it?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
JT makes a motion to adjourn, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Virginia seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
Push these down.
Yeah, do it.
Joe.
No, I don't, I was gonna get Diana.
No, it's all right.
All you gotta do is hit stop.